I forgot you can add like a little countdown video, then it goes like 10, 9, 8 for people to log in. But
Hello, actual people who are watching us.
no one's watching yet. They need a few seconds.
They are on the replay in the
I
future.
know,
They're
I
already
know, I
watching
know,
this bit.
I know.
Because time doesn't work how you think it does.
No, let's not go into that conversation.
Okay, good idea.
Good
I
idea.
did that in a Facebook group last week, the week before. It was all about time.
Yeah, actual people are watching now, so we're not going to go
actual people. I can't see
crazy.
who they are. Well, that's.
Oh, I need to put it onto the
Sorry,
chat.
I'm going to open it up on my other screen so I can see who they are.
I've got itchy back. I've got itchy back. So I am joined by the one and only, and oh my god, am I glad there's only one and only, Duncan Price, who some of you will probably know. You may have seen him in a few groups. He's floated around for a while. And don't tell him because he gets a big head, but he's pretty good at what he does, which is why he comes back. And we all love him, really. He is Dunky. So even when he is pedantic, talking about time or being the pain in the bum, we all really do enjoy his company, and he has a lot of great things to say. So we are talking about mindset today, because forget knowledge, forget skill set, forget everything else. If you've got the mindset that you're going to achieve something, Dunky, you're going to achieve it.
You're infinitely more likely to.
Infinitely more likely to. Like it. Why do so many people set a goal and then don't take the action?
Because they're human. Right? Ultimately, this is the thing. And I think it's a really important point, this, actually. It's not what I had in mind to talk about, but a really important point. It is so common and so normal and such a basic human thing to set goals and not achieve them, right? And yet, time and time again, people beat themselves up for it, get frustrated about it, and create a bigger problem than the original problem, because they end up effectively what tends to happen, and the reasons why as humans we're terrible at achieving these goals, or can be, is we have a tendency to, we like habits, we like things to be the same, right? What's familiar feels safe. We confuse familiar and safe. We think they're the same thing. They're not. Hence, people can stay in abusive relationships for a long time. It's not safe, but it's familiar. So it kind of feels safe, even though it's not. And the idea of something unfamiliar, like leaving that dangerous environment, feels unsafe because we don't like the unknown. That's our real biggest fear as humans.
Into the unknown. Sorry.
It's right. I won't sing along. So yeah, we don't like unknown and we want to keep safe, but it's not actually safe. It's more unsafe than anything else to lock ourselves away. And we put these walls up to keep the bad stuff out. And really all we're doing is keeping our own self stuck in. So it's normal as humans to do that. Where we can make the biggest difference, where we can make the second biggest difference, is how we respond and treat ourselves in those moments where we are not, or we did not follow through on the stuff we intended to do. So this is one real fundamental thing, is be nicer to yourself when, on those occasions where you don't do quite how you expected to, or what you wanted to, or this dream desire that you had to wake up and be instantly fully in flow and have completed all of your tasks.
Isn't it funny though how ingrained this is? So Debs and I earlier spoke about, how our parents model behavior for us, and how ingrained it is in such an early life that even when we grow up going, I don't want to turn into my parents, we kind of turn into our parents. Like, we don't like it, but unless we've really made a conscious change, we'll kind of slip into that.
That's it. Unless we really make a conscious change, and we can. So 95% of every single decision we make, choice, action, and behavior, 95% of it is unconsciously driven.
Yeah.
Literally only 5% of the choices we make are conscious choices. There's neuroscience research to back this up, and it's fascinating stuff. And it's so such small, simple things can have such huge impacts. Here's an example. A real life study that was done by Professor John Barg, I think his name is, something like that. Anyway, He's a neuroscientist who's been studying this stuff for a long time. And so one of the studies he did, he got basically the subjects would come in and they'd go up in an elevator, a lift, but it was an American study. Sorry. They'd go up in this lift and then they would be they were given a description of a person and asked to fill out a questionnaire on their opinion of that person as their traits were described. And what we were looking for was to see how the descriptions varied when they were describing this person based on another thing. So the impact was the experimenter that was on the lift didn't actually know what the experiment was about. He was just helping. And so in the lift on the way up, he would hand the subject a drink, go into his bag or briefcase to bring out the paperwork that he needed for the assessment. Then the subject would hand the drink back, read the description, and fill out the questionnaire. And what they were looking for is whether they would describe this person as a warm person, and using language like that. So, they were described as warm, friendly, comfortable, or whether they were described as being cold, standoffish, distant, and words like that. It was exactly the same description given to all of the subjects. The difference was the subjects that described this person as cold and distant and unlikable had been asked to hold a drink in the lift on the way up, and it was an iced coffee. The people who were given a hot coffee to hold described this same description, same person, as being warm, friendly, welcoming, inviting, right? Physically feeling warmth makes us feel safe and secure. It has done since we were babies. It's factory preloaded, right? We come out of the
That's why
womb.
we love a warm cup of tea.
Exactly. We come out of the womb with a preference for that warmth and considering that to be comforting, right? Studies were done with monkeys.
40 degrees is a bit much though, right?
Yes, absolutely. I won't go into the studies with monkeys because it makes me sad about the poor little monkeys that didn't have a mother. But it's something that's just factory built into us, that we have a preference for. We consider warm to be cozy, positive, safe. That's why we use that word to describe a friendly person is a warming person, right? That simple act of whether they were holding a hot or a cold drink in the lift before filling out the study had a notable difference on how people answered those questions. That's just how powerful these subconscious influences can be. And so we because we're conscious beings, right? The version of me that's talking to you right now, the version of you experiencing what I'm saying down the camera, you're doing that from a conscious perspective. What you don't know is that there's so much subconscious, unconscious processing going on before you're aware of it, but you won't be aware of it because you're only aware of the stuff, the 5%, that's actually conscious.
Well, let's give an example of something. Let's talk about money and success, because it's part of the thing we all want. Yeah, money and success. I'm not going to go into your blockers on money at the moment. But you look at people who have success almost handed to them on a plate. People who have maybe been in a reality TV, who've won the lottery, who have suddenly overnight had this rise to money, success, and all of this. And how many people end up bankrupt, spending it all, not having it, because they weren't prepared for it. You say it took them away from, they were comfortable being broke and struggling because they'd always known how to be broke and struggling. And all of a sudden, everything was plentiful. And you would think, wouldn't you, that if it was easy and it was given to you, my God, you'd hold on to it. You wouldn't let it go. But we're not. All these things are going on around us. So when you sit there and go, why am I not achieving? You're absolutely right. Human nature is to kind of stop us achieving because it's this unknown and it's difficult thing. So you are not alone if you feel that you've got to a certain point and things are not falling into place. But it's not just a string of bad luck that why your recruits are not joining. It's not just a string of bad luck that why maybe you're not getting the bigger events and some people are. It's not just a string of bad luck. Yes, environment does play a part of it. But if you've got the numbers and you're consistently taking the action, it's kind of the way you're behaving because of these blockers that are kind of keeping you there because it is safe and you know it. And the situation you're in now, you always know. Trust me, if it goes bad in a terrible way, you're also forced to adjust it to try and get it back to the thing you feel comfortable for. So whether it goes good or whether it goes bad, you're forced to kind of take action. The good thing is that you can consciously change this. It's like
Yes.
you can, once you've got those tools and
And not
once you
just by
recognize
holding a
it.
hot drink. So the real key thing here is neuroplasticity. Okay, the brain physically goes through changes when you think differently. If you have a new thought or think about something in a different framing, a different way, you physically create a new neural connection in your brain, a new neural pathway. Forget the science talk. Let me make it simple. You know, when you're walking through the woods, right? And you've got that main path that everyone follows, it's really easy to walk along. But if you want to think differently, if you want to take a different route, actually, the first time you take that route, you need to brush some branches aside. You might even need to chop something down. There might be some brambles. There's overgrowth or undergrowth, rather, that you've got to kind of make your way through. But the next time you go down that new path, it's easier. And then it's easier again and easier again and easier again until it becomes the natural path for you to take. And that original path, no one's walking down it anymore. It becomes overgrown. So when we deliberately decide to start thinking differently, we may choose to be mechanical with it to start with, but the more we repeat that, the more automatic it becomes. And then what you're doing there is creating a new subconscious default for how you deal with something. And as a result, that 95% that does things without you knowing starts doing the things you actually really want it to do consciously as well.
But it always comes down as well to your affirmations and your self-talk and what you're telling yourself. So if you've got this inner voice of like, I don't deserve this, I can't do this, isn't happening for me, it's never going to, I'm never going to get the right person, this person's never going to stick, it's never going to be this. You are predetermining, yeah, that word, your outcomes.
Yep.
By because you don't realize, you said that 5% is actually conscious, the other 95% is listening to you going, well, I can't do this, and it's getting in the way and sabotaging and making you change your decisions.
And let's take just an additional step back from that as well to create an even bigger picture overview. Because we have this 95%, it's powerful and it's influencing us, and the consciousness that we're aware of will often become aware of the fact that we've sabotaged ourselves again, or that we've not done that thing, or we just spent another hour scrolling on TikTok when we were going to do something productive, whatever it might be. You're better to be proactive and stop that happening beforehand. But once it's happened, beating yourself up for it is only going to encourage you to repeat that. Because if you're saying things like, oh, I always do this, I've failed again, that's evidence that I'm going to do it even more. You're building on the evidence you've already got of where you're currently at. What you can do instead is be nicer to yourself about it and accept that the moment you become aware of it, because awareness is so key, the moment you become aware of it is the moment that you can begin to practice changing it. And it's so powerful.
It's like an alcoholic, isn't it? Until they say, I've got a drink problem, you're never gonna change it. You're never gonna do anything from it. You have to recognize that the action you're taking. If I missed the point, I was having to fight the urge in my head. I was going savage love from TikTok and trying to remember the dance.
No, you're absolutely right. The hesitation you probably saw in my face there was it's a fine line, but an important one between I have a problem and I've just had another opportunity to practice improving, right? Because it's the same thing, but it's how we view it that makes the difference. Who was it? Epictetus. Epictetus, the Greek Stoic philosopher, said, and it's one of my favorite quotes of his actually, man is not disturbed by things, but by the view which he takes of them. Right? When something happens and we feel a certain way about it, or experience a certain response and reaction to that, it's not based on what's happened, it's based on how we're interpreting what happened. It's based on those underlying beliefs. And here's the thing, for everyone watching now, for your journey ahead in this boot camp and beyond that, obviously in greater life, but like use this boot camp as the catalyst to make this happen. You've spent years building up the beliefs that you've got, whether it's the beliefs around money that you've brought on from your parents and your upbringing, whether it's cultural.
Money doesn't grow on trees, you know, Donkey.
It actually literally does. It's made of paper. Actually, it's made of plastic now, but still. Like, yeah, all of these beliefs that you've built up, whether it's from your past experiences of business and it not working out how you wanted, whether it's whatever, it's like you've been building a stack of cards. And the perception a lot of people have is that because it's taken me so long to build up these beliefs, it's going to take me so long to break them down again. Because it took massive amounts of energy and input and time and repetition to create this, the idea is that it's going to take so long to undo it. The reality is the bottom of that pyramid is supporting the rest of it. If you just flick one card at the bottom, the whole lot can come crumbling down. And to put that analogy into this sense, it is changing that one underlying belief. And so how do you change a belief? You simply become aware of it, right? There's this thing that we have, or that we experience rather, that feels a bit weird and isn't particularly pleasant, but it's actually not that painful either if we choose to not let it be. And it's not what Sarah's thinking. And that I'm also distracted because the subtitles are still calling me
The donkey, yeah.
I had a friend called Claudia, or Claudia rather, it was pronounced Doring, and the subtitles always called her Cloudy Adoring, which I thought was nice too. Anyway, so to change a fundamental belief, we create this thing called cognitive dissonance, okay? And it's kind of, you know, those moments where someone says
deep with the big words today, Duncan.
I know, right? Someone says something and it shifts, it changes your perception on something, and for a moment you just kind of feel a bit wait, hang on, I need a second to get my head around that. That's literally what's happening, is you just need that moment for your head to go, okay, new information.
I love the tilt that goes with that. We all do it.
Oh yeah.
Cock our heads.
I won't go into that because that and it involves even more big words. So we've got existing belief, new information, and the two just cannot actually fit together. And two things can happen. There's two options from here. One, well, there's kind of three options, I guess. One option is argue even louder with the person on Facebook who's presented you with new evidence that you're not prepared to accept. Ignore it, and therefore don't worry about feeling the dissonance and don't worry about changing your beliefs. Just have an argument instead. Shout louder, type more furiously. That's not a particularly useful option. The other great option is, or the other more useful option, is to accept that there's a difference there. And the moment that you realize you've got one underlying belief and one new belief or new perspective, for example, this conscious belief that I know I could do this, I know I can do this, but there's something that's getting in the way, and the recognition of that underlying belief that's saying that you can't, when you notice that the two don't match, if you step forward into that, if you allow that, you can kind of go, oh, that's a bit uncomfortable, but you can choose which belief to embody, which belief to take on board, which belief is going to become the key belief. And if you go, actually, literally anyone has the ability to do this. And
they do.
Said something on your live earlier, Sarah, which was kind of a bit of a tongue-in-cheek throwaway comment, but a really vital one, actually, especially for the people in this group. I said, and I know it put you off slightly, but almost everybody in this group has pushed a human out of themselves. If you can do that and survive,
we don't like to think about it
on Facebook, but you can push a few buttons on Facebook.
Yeah,
right. The actual technical process, the actual connecting with people.
And how life-changing is that? We make that decision quite easily. Oh, let's have a baby. Okay, then that's a good idea. Oh my God. And I like the pain, the body.
And then conveniently forget just how horrible it was when you decide to do it again, right?
Yeah. Sleepless nights, all of it. And we literally go and do it. If we can do that, my God, can we become successful in this business? It's not hard. It really isn't. Sorry, I got distracted then. You know when your subconscious picks up messages? So I started to smell smoke. And it was like my brain suddenly went, you need to suddenly pay attention as to why you can smell smoke and what is burning. You need to have a little look if that's something you need to deal with or not. There's no immediate flames. I think I'm okay. But what do we need then, Duncan? This is the thing. We are, you should say, no one in here is a superhero. No, we've all got, Joe really gets me is when you dig a deep into someone, you have one-to-one conversations with someone, and then you go, oh my God, you did that as your career? Oh my God, you've got a master's in this? Wow. And not because I don't have that. I was kicked out of sixth form twice. Like, I'm at the bottom of the pack with this. And you're like, shit me, people have really accomplished some incredible things and then don't feel that they can get a team member or be successful. So how do we... Okay, I'm gonna bring it. I want you to tell us how, like, the simple things we could do, but I'm going to mention The Secret because I know you and I don't like the book The Secret, but what that book has allowed people to do is not give them loads of jargon and big technical words, but has given them a technique which allows them to reprogram their brain. It's mind programming, basically, isn't it? This whole ask the universe. And I'm not knocking anyone who loves that book or adores that book and has, you know, changed their life because of it, because that's the idea of it. But it's a very simple technique, isn't it? Really, to reprogram your mind on your opportunities that come up around you. So what kind of techniques and things can you give us that will help us make this journey? You know, because we're all on different levels. Some people are really excited and raring to go with this. Some people are petrified. Some people already messaged me almost bailing out this morning. Oh, I think I've taken off too much more than I can do. I haven't got the time to do it. I haven't done this. It's like, just wait, stop panicking, come back. No one's asking you to complete every single task or to be a superhero. Just, you know, the only commitment of ours to people is to put a gift on a post every day and to do a comment on the accountability post in the evening. That is it. 2 actions minimum a day. What everyone else does in between that is absolutely fine. But what can we do then?
Okay, I've literally just created this in my head while you were talking. Step one. Hopefully it's no, it's based on techniques that I use in neuroscience that make sense. So step one, what do you want to achieve? Okay, yes. I don't necessarily mean massive big picture, but pick one thing right now. What do you want to achieve? So that could be promoting to group leader by the end of this boot camp, for example. What one thing do you want to achieve? Right. What belief do you
need? Can I say mine?
Yes.
The one thing I want to achieve is everybody ends this 6 weeks feeling that they've moved forward or more confident in their business than they were at the beginning.
Beautiful. Is there a belief that you currently have that's getting in the way of that, Sarah?
Currently, right this second, no, because right this second I'm on a massive high and a massive thing. Beautiful. I would say there's probably the last year hasn't been full of success and hasn't been full of huge promotions and things like that. So there's probably an underlying part of me that goes, oh, can I still help people? Have I still got that ability?
That feeds nicely into my 4th point. So which is lovely. So yeah, first point, okay, what is it that you want to achieve? Second point, what, if any, beliefs can you identify that are getting in the way or have got in the way in the past? Which naturally then follows on to step 3. What belief do you need in order to achieve that?
What belief or what result?
What belief? Okay. What belief would help you, would make that easier for you to achieve right now?
Well, the belief that everybody will do it.
Yeah, no, it really can be that simple. We don't need to overthink this. Cool. The belief that everyone will do it will absolutely make that so much easier for you to achieve, right? And for them to achieve as well. Cool. So the next thing is
in the bag now.
How can you create more evidence for yourself to support that new belief or that existing belief in this case?
Well, I don't know. I've just told myself that that's the case and I believe it.
But what, okay, so if you were trying to convince someone else of that belief, what evidence could you create that you could show them that would help?
Well, I could show them, you know, the hundreds of other people I've helped along the way. Kerry, are you still watching? Have I helped you with
hundreds of other people you've helped along? Okay, so yes, this is useful. This is really useful for you because you're showing that you've actually already.
Well, I've just asked Kerry to validate it as well, so I've gone for an external reference.
Beautiful. What you've done is you've taken it actually a step further than the exercise that I was aiming for, which is to say I've actually already got existing beliefs. The very fact that Kerry is here is evidence that you've helped her in the past, right? Otherwise she wouldn't be. So you're showing that you've already got evidence of it that already supports that belief, which is fantastic. For some people in here, they won't already have that evidence. So the question I'd ask them is what evidence could you create? What could you do? What would be evidence that supports that belief that you're aiming for? create
So
it.
here's part of the thing as well. Actually, you've just fed into this really nicely. Part of what we need at the beginning is faith. And we are nations built on Christianity and religion and faith and things, and we put our faith in our schooling, our education system. We put our faith in so much. We don't put our faith in ourselves very much. We have this kind of like, oh, I want to do this, and this gut feeling that I want to be Osborne. I want to become a team leader. That's why people are here. They've got that gut instinct that I kind of think that's what I want. But then we're not very good on having that kind of a faith that actually if we just do the actions we'll get that evidence, then that evidence will feed into us believing in ourselves more, and then we'll do a bit more, and that cycle begins.
I'm going to deliberately disagree, not because you're wrong, but because I don't want you to be right. Okay, and what I mean by that is, right, what you're saying, what you're telling everyone that's watching this right now without meaning to and without intending to, and for all the right reasons, you're telling them that they don't put faith in themselves.
True.
You literally just said, and everyone that's watching this was probably agreeing with you for very good reason, because they've got evidence that supports that. What if that belief is the fundamental belief that we need to change? Not just to, it's not about lying to yourself and saying, oh no, I know I can do it. Like, yeah, I get that there is evidence that supports the belief that you don't have faith in yourself. But what about that time that you learned to walk?
Oh yeah, we always
Right?
have faith in
You had
ourselves with
absolute
certain
faith
things,
in
don't
yourself
we?
to be able to do that. Otherwise, you wouldn't have achieved it. What about the faith that you have in your child's ability to successfully complete the thing that they're working on right now? Like, you believe that you have the ability to help and support them to get there as well. We all have faith in ourselves.
We do.
And the more that we acknowledge the faith that we already have in ourselves and the evidence that we have that faith in ourselves, the more we're leaning into the more constructive and useful belief that we have that already underlies everything, that we can do this, we can grow, we can get there, and we're doing it right now.
Oh my God. I'm just going to bring, I don't know who this is, which Facebook user. I'm going to bring it on stage though. I want to build a bigger team. We all do. That's why we're here. I have the belief there are not enough people who are interested out there, and people will say no. Whoa. Okay. I need to believe that I have done it in the past, and there are people that do not know it. There are millions and millions and millions of people. So the great thing about this business is that people are being born and babies are being born every single second throughout the UK. Yeah. Those children need books. And up until that point, those parents would not have known about this kind of career path. Would not have known about Osborne. Would not have known about any of this. It hits them at different points. So we have new people basically every second coming through, needing to hear about this. So that is never. I had this argument with someone the other day when I was like, well, it's uncapped. I can earn whatever. I can do this. They're like, well, it's not uncapped. There's only a certain amount of books that will be sold in the world. And then you'd reach point. And I was like, no, because there are always new people coming through. There was always new people who are going to need books. Therefore, it is uncapped.
There's also always new books being published for the people who already love
exactly. I was like, no, your mindset is so closed when you need to open it, because I am telling you.
What I love about this comment here, though, is first off, it starts with, right, so I want to build a bigger team. That was the step one, is what do you want to achieve? Brilliant. Next, do you have any existing limiting beliefs? Fantastic for recognizing that.
Yeah.
It's brilliant, right? And it's a really common one and a really big one as well. Like, there's not enough people who are interested. The very fact that you're on a team shows that there are people that are interested because you've just joined, or you've actually, you say you've done it in the past, so you haven't just joined, but you did in the past. And people, like Sarah said, are joining every day. So you recognize that that's an unhelpful belief. Well done for recognizing it and leaning into it. That is fantastic, because the more you recognize them, the more you can challenge them. It all starts from awareness. And then to say, actually, what I choose to believe, not just need to believe, choose to believe, is that you have done it in the past. Great. So you've, again, like Sarah, you've got existing evidence, and there are people who don't know about it yet, but would like to do this and would like to join. You're spot on. You're absolutely right. So what action could you take that would give you more evidence that supports that belief even more? Obviously,
I love this. I love examples where we can tackle things. I will add another one in here because I think a lot of people have felt like this. during the start of this year, there was a lot of people join under an offer and things like that who didn't really see the potential in it, who didn't really do much. And it seemed to be company wide that all these people suddenly joined and didn't do a lot. And the result was a lot of us lost some confidence. It was harder to reach people. Facebook adverts weren't working the same way. We couldn't go out to events and things. So it was hard. And then the people who we did get to join wouldn't do anything. They'd disappear. And we kind of lost this confidence, myself included, that what is the point of putting all this energy and hard work into getting to team members, but then they're never going to do anything anyway. So, well, I'm going to spend my time doing schools or spend my time doing this, because what's the point? And that's really hard to get through. And I had to force myself to still have those messages, still do my team building. My last lot of people who've come through have absolutely blown that theory out the water. They are committed. They are booking things in. They are looking at the bigger picture. Some of
Now
them are
is
in
the
this
right
boot
time for
camp.
that as well.
I
Surely.
know. And it is literally, wow, the difference in these people who want to be helped, who want to succeed, who want to go on to do stuff is incredible. So I'm really now enjoying, which is why I'm doing boot camp again. I haven't really touched on boot camp since January, because I haven't had that buzz and excitement to help those people coming through as much. But now I've got it back. And it's it's infectious. You can share that with other people when you're enjoying it, when you're excited. It makes it so much easier. The test comes when you're in that low point, when you've had a knock, when you've had a thing, and it is hard to keep going through it. So I hear you, to all the existing leaders or the people who've been through that kind of thing. Yet that evidence will come back, but you have to keep going through it.
But genuinely lean into that. Think, okay, what evidence do I need, or what evidence could I gather that would support this hypothesis, this idea, this belief, and what action can I take to create it? And go take those actions consistently until it works. And if it's really not working, assess it, find out new actions. In fact, this leans on the A's of change. I don't think I've actually spoken about the A's of change to an Usborne group yet. I'll be very, very brief. I'm sure Sarah would be willing to share the link. Actually, I'll share the blog link afterwards. I've written a blog on it. But there are 6.5 A's of change. And to achieve any change, these are the things you need. The first 3 are in a very specific order. The others can kind of go in any order, really. So the first one is absolutely awareness. I've mentioned that a few times today. How can you expect to change something if you're not actually aware of A, where it currently is, and B, your desire to want to change it, right? So starts with awareness. And again, loads more about that on the blog. And in fact, it's a whole blog on itself. Step 2, once you've got awareness, acceptance. It's so important to accept where you're currently at. For example, accepting that you are currently experiencing a belief that there aren't enough people out there that are interested, right? Okay, I accept that I feel that way. I accept that that's the place that I'm currently in. That doesn't mean I have to like it. Doesn't mean I have to stay here, but I can accept that I've got to this point. That's all right. Yeah. A crazy example of this and how easy it is for us to blame ourselves or blame other people, and how neither of those things are useful. I used to be a little bit racist. Now, I am not in any way, shape, or form a racist person. I love new cultures, but what I didn't realize is that I was a little bit racist about Americans, and that's okay because they're American, right? No, it's not okay. But growing up, my dad, and again, as he sees it, as he believes it, it's just jokes, it's just banter, and it's friendly, and he doesn't mean it. But equally, I still grew up thinking it was okay to make jokes about an entire race of people, which is something I wouldn't do about any other race. So why did I think it was okay for Americans? I'm sorry, but I'm treating them differently to any other race. To me, that's a form of racism, as much as it's mild and I would never physically act on it. Anyway, when I recognized that, my initial response was sick to my stomach. Actually, I felt really guilty about it. I felt bad about it. I felt like I was a bad person because all Americans are fat and stupid. I don't believe that. But on some level, I had an element of belief of that. I just thought, every American that leaves America, i.e., those that I've met, they're a genuine exception. That doesn't make sense. I've never been to America. How would I know that? Right. Anyway. So I had this belief. At first, I felt really sick about it and I blamed myself. Well, felt really bad. And then I went, oh, hang on a minute. It's not my fault. It's my dad's fault. I learned it all from him. But actually, that wasn't helpful either, because if it's all my dad's fault, then I can't change it, right? If it's all because of someone else, it's not in my control. It's not my power. It's
Oh,
someone
we
else.
touched on this for Debs. This is brilliant.
Yeah. Whereas if it's all my fault, then I'm a terrible person and I'm going to be beating myself up for it. The reality is, it's a whole combination of stuff that led to that point. What's really powerful is that now I've noticed it, for awareness, I'm aware of it, I can now begin to do something about it. But I have to accept that this is where I am. This is where I've got to. And it's a whole result of so many other things and influences, partly my dad, partly my choices, partly just not being aware of it to begin with. So I didn't know there was anything to change. But now that I'm aware of it, I can accept that I'm here and I can choose something different. So
before we go on to the next day, I just want to touch on that beating yourself up about it, because when I voice noted you the other day, I was in a point that I was really beating myself up over something, and it was really quite an interesting thing for me, because it really highlighted the fact that I very rarely beat myself up over my actions at all anymore. I just accept them. I put something out for typo, whatever. I've sent the wrong email, whatever. Like the booking landing page for this says, woohoo, boot camp is back for March. I haven't gone and changed it yet. Like, you know, I make mistakes. I say the wrong thing to someone, but I accept it very, very quickly. On this moment the other day, I felt like an absolute fool. So what I had done was knocked a bottle of perfume off a shelf while doing my makeup, and it seemed to be the perfect shape to wedge directly into the toilet bowl that then couldn't be moved, and there was plungers and screwdrivers and all sorts. Eventually, with lots of soap and a very unique tool, it came out.
unique
Toilet
tool.
and I don't know what the tool was in the end, but it came out. But I felt like it wasn't my house, it wasn't my toilet, so there was a whole like other added thing that I'd been clumsy with someone else, and I was really embarrassed and cross with myself. But it did give me that reason to go, oh my God, I haven't felt like this for such a long time. And that's actually a really beautiful thing. How lucky am I that I'm not doing this to myself all the time? Because actually it's quite a human thing to do, isn't it? This kind of like, oh, I'm such an idiot, why the hell would I do that? Oh, everyone's going to think I'm in a right fool now because I opened my mouth and I said those words and they didn't come out right, and all this. Oh my God, it's exhausting just saying those kind of words out loud. But people they do it to themselves all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Rather than just accepting that's done.
Anyone who's ever worked in a customer-facing environment like retail or waitressing, waiting on someone is a great example. How many times does someone say to you, when you say, enjoy your meal, how many times does someone say, you too? And you don't even think about it. You carry on, you're on to the next table, you haven't given it a second thought. And yet the person that said, oh, you too, dies a little bit inside because, they just told the waiter or waitress to
It's like being
enjoy
at school when you call the teacher mummy. It's like,
yeah,
yes, mummy.
yeah.
What? No.
Everyone's done it. The teacher's probably been called mum by plenty of other people before. It doesn't give it a second thought. We respond very differently to us and assume that other people are doing the same when they're really not. But this is the thing, and it touches on, I won't, very briefly, because it's an important tangent, but it is a massive tangent. Reality around us isn't what we think it is, right? So we see ourselves as a video camera. We're recording the information that's happening around us. We see, hear,
We are actually on a video camera.
What's happening out there. But the reality is, we don't experience anything out there. We experience it all in here, right? You are not hearing my voice coming from me. You are hearing an impulse, an electrical impulse in your brain brought about by a kinetic movement of your eardrum as a result of sound waves coming out of the speakers. You're not hearing my voice from here. You're hearing it in your own head, right? Everything you experience in life, you experience in your own head. The 95% that we were talking about before is a filter that filters all of that information coming through and only delivers to you, to the 5% of awareness, the things it considers to be important and in the way that you consider them, right? So if we think everyone's staring at us, if we were a video camera...
Oh, we're going to look for signals that everyone's staring at us.
Yeah, if we were a video camera, we would see everyone staring at us and that would be the reality. But what's actually happening is that we're a projector, right? Reality is there. There is a physical, objective reality, but we are like a projector shining our light onto that canvas, and what we see is what's reflected back. So if we think everyone's looking at us and we're shining that out, then what we're going to notice and see is everyone that's looking at us. And we're going to assume that there's judgment with that because that's what we're expecting, because that's what we're projecting out there. Does that make sense? I hope so.
It does make sense. We're going you've been reading lots of papers recently, I can tell.
Well, actually, I've been writing and thinking about my approach and what's actually relevant to and including that. But that's not a thing. Anyway, so that was a massive tangent, but a really important one to say. Actually, it's what you're putting out there is what you're seeing back. Change what you're putting out there by changing those beliefs, and you really can achieve much more. And that's why when you don't really think it's going to work and you send out those messages, but you stop yourself from really doing it, or you just kind of copy and paste because that's easier than thinking about what you were going to say or whatever it might be, and you don't get the results, and you go, it's because the world is rubbish. No, it's because what you're projecting onto the world is not conducive to what you're looking for. Anyway, back to the A's, because I'm aware of the time. Awareness, acceptance. The third one is aspiration. So once you're aware of where you're at and you've accepted it, what do you aspire to? What does good look like? What do you want to create? Aspiration. Those three, are, as I say, need to be in order. The other A's can be in any order, really, but the one that follows most naturally on from that is action. Take some action.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how aware you are and how accepting you are and how much you dream about where you want to be, freaking do something or you ain't going to get there, right? So take some action. It doesn't have to be perfect action. If something's worth doing, it's worth doing badly, right? Because I know it's because like this whole idea.
Hold on, let me cock my head and go, what?
If it's worth doing, freaking do it. It doesn't matter if it's good. It doesn't matter if it's done well.
That's like my new favourite saying. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing badly. It's so weird. Forget this fucking perfection and yeah.
I've been so good at not using bad words. That's not my quote. I'd love to claim that it was. I can't remember whose it is. I stole it from someone else, but it's a brilliant quote. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing bad.
It's the same as like that action becomes before motivation. The action is like massive.
Yes.
Massive.
And because that gives you the evidence as well, then.
Yes.
If you do stuff, it gives you the evidence that you're the kind of person that does stuff. Which means you can get stuff done, which means you feel good. Which means you feel like doing more stuff.
We're not lazy people here. We do stuff.
Yeah. So awareness, acceptance, aspiration, action, achievement, right? Yes, achievement comes quite early on in this. Achievement. Because when you take action, you achieve something. Do you know what? Might not be what you were planning to achieve. It might be completely the wrong thing, right? You might have, give a completely different context. You might have approached someone in a bar and you took that action, but what your aspiration was that you were just going to have a laugh, have a dance together, maybe have a drink, and that was all. And the actual achievement was that you got into a fight or that you ended up having a one-night stand. I don't know. Like it could be that it did not go how you were planning it to go, but it went somewhere. It's okay if
that's an achievement.
It is an achievement because it's a result of some form. You've achieved something, okay? Because here's the thing. It may not have gone the way you expected. It may have gone completely opposite to what you expect. Obviously, that's a ridiculously extreme example I gave, but still, even if what you've achieved is relative failure and moves you further away from your goal, you've still learned something, which is don't freaking do that again. Choose a different action, right? But you're still getting closer to success by making these mistakes.
As long as it's safe sex, you're okay.
Well, there we go. Make sure you're protected. But once you've taken that action and you've achieved something, hopefully something that's in the right direction, but even if it's not, it's still an achievement, right? Even failure is an achievement if you then follow with the next
step. Give us the next day.
Assessment. Assess what you've done. Assess how it's gone. And then this is the point.
What's the half? What's the half? Give us the half.
Because it really could go anywhere within this process, is adjustment, right? It might be that you become aware And as you become aware, already you need to start making adjustments before you worry about being able to do the next thing, right? Once you've accepted something, you might want to start adjusting your behaviors even before you know what you're aspiring to. Once you're aspiring to something, you might want to adjust something to make it easier to take the action. Once you're taking the action, you might want to already begin adjusting something before you've really seen your achievement, because you're already learning as you go. Once you've achieved something, good or bad, you've achieved something, adjustment. Once you've assessed it, adjustment. And then go back to the first day again. Become aware. Look at it all again. Question it some more and repeat the process.
Brilliant. I have heard you talk about those before. I'm trying to work out where. Maybe you did them training.
Live, in person, in real life.
Did we do them in real life?
I think we did. Yeah, I did at the hotel.
We did it in real life at the hotel.
January?
January training. Did we do it in January training?
Did January happen? Yeah.
January training happened, yes, baby.
That's where I spoke about it.
Excellent. I was like, I do know this. Okay, let's wrap up. Donkey.
Actually, that's where I wrote it. It was when I was planning that talk. That's when I came up with the.
There you go. Can everybody make this a success?
No.
Okay.
That's not the answer you wanted and not the answer you were hoping for. And the reason I say that is because not everyone actually wants to.
Okay.
That's the reality. Everyone that's here right now can.
Let me rephrase this. Yeah. Has everyone got the ability that if they wanted to make it happen, it would happen? Right. Thank you.
But the reason I said no is because it's all too easy, especially in this kind of environment, to be like, yeah, anyone can do it. I deliberately stopped and paused to think about it because I want to give an honest and accurate answer and not just one that makes everyone feel good in the moment. The honest and accurate answer is no, not everyone can do it. But yes, every single person watching this video can, because every single person watching this video already has skin in the game. They've made a commitment. They're here right now. They clearly want it enough to have taken this first step. So if they action everything that we've just discussed, if they watch the other videos, if they follow through on the commitments that I think you said something about making them right or commit to. I don't know exactly what that was. Sorry, I wasn't listening.
We had a contract, Duncan, a declaration of commitment.
That was it.
They have to put a gift on the task every mornings, and then they have to write on the accountability post, even if it's to say, I did F4 today because I was busy doing life. That's all they need to do.
So every single person who does that, yeah, absolutely, 100%. Everyone that's here can achieve it and will achieve it if they just simply follow those A's.
So part of the thing we talked about, the part of the task they were today, is to choose their morning routine. Pick a time that they're going to get up and choose what they're going to do. We're working very much, or very much a big theme for me is about taking control of your time rather than letting life sweep you away. Because we all do it. Someone rings. Do you want to come and do this? Oh, okay then. Oh, could you pop to the shop and grab me that? Oh, okay then. Can you come over here and do this? Yeah, I do that. Oh, it's just going to pop round. Oh, okay.
Making what matters part of the 95%.
Yeah. So taking control of your day. Have you got any tips around how people can take control of the day before it takes control of them?
Yes, absolutely. Top tip involves this thing. Mobile phones.
We all have the mobile phone.
Actually, do you know what? Even before that, it starts at bedtime, right? And not just because sleep is important. You should do the whole sleep routine thing. Yeah, absolutely. But forgetting all of that, it starts the night before with the decision and the intention of how you want to wake up.
Yes.
It makes
so much planning. If you've got your children's clothes laid out the night. Right, we've all done this, right? We've all had a holiday that we need to go on with the kids, and we have to be up early to get to the airport or something like this. So what we do is we lay out everybody's clothes. Everybody has their travel clothes. Everybody has their travel bag. Everybody has their bowl out ready to have a quick cereal in the morning. You manage to get that stuff into the dishwasher, and your whole morning runs in like this smooth operation there. You get your kids out of bed, still half asleep. You've got them fed. You've got them into the car. The cases are already packed the night before, and you are on the road in like 20 minutes flat. Yet we normally get up with a school run and we're like, where's the school bag? Where are your shoes? What is going on? Have you brushed your teeth? Why have you not brushed your teeth? And the reason being, we knew it was important when we had the holiday that we had to be in an airport at a certain time. So we had pre-prep the day before so that everything ran smoothly. And then on normal days, we're letting life carry us along. If we use that time the night before to know that we're taking control of our day, you've used this example before. If you're getting up and exercising, put your shoes and your gym kit laid out so you can step out of bed and get ready. And I think that's something we're not doing, especially with lockdown, where all our routines went all over the place. We kind of lost control a bit. And this is massively now we're going to regain control. So I love that in the evening. Sorry, I'm interrupting again.
So yeah, perfect preparation and planning prevents piss poor performance. So yeah, think about it the night before, plan what you're going to do. Next thing, when you put this on charge, don't put it on charge next to your bed. Put it on charge the other side of the bedroom. Put it on charge downstairs if you need to, if you can. Set yourself an alarm on your phone by all means, but if you're going to do that, put your phone the other side of the room so you have to get up for it.
Have you been reading The Miracle Morning too, Duncan Price?
Even before I read The Miracle Morning, that was a piece of advice that I didn't follow but recommend. Now I actually do it. Yeah, and then don't start by scrolling through, because the moment you start scrolling through emails, Facebook, whatever, what you're doing is going, hey world, what are your priorities? Rather than, hey, what are my priorities? I literally at the moment, because I realized I wasn't being the best version of myself fairly recently. And so I took myself away for a few days and decided to change that and become the best version of myself, or rather refocus on my personal growth and becoming the person I will, the future me. That's awesome. Anyway, I literally every morning wake up.
Present you is pretty awesome as well, Duncan.
I know, I'm awesome, but I could be even more awesome and help even more people to do that. So I start my day with an affirmation. The first thing I do when I get up every single day now is I repeat this to myself. That's why I just ran upstairs to go and get this. It lives next to my bed. So
I am in control. Oh, is he control?
As well. I am a commitment to.
Oh, commitment to.
That's the starting sentence. And I am a commitment to. I'm embodying it. I'm not just doing a commitment. I am a commitment to life itself. Now that's pretty grandiose, but that for me, that's the thing, because I'd kind of got distracted from how amazing life is, and I want to start each day just full of that life. And it kind of says life, the universe, and everything, and has 42 next to it, but that's a whole other geek joke. So I am a commitment to life itself, and I live intentionally, and that's important, because to live intentionally, I don't want to be just drifting through life, just allowing everything to influence me. I want to choose and be intentional with how I'm spending my time, how I'm showing.
That word's come up so much today in these lives. Intentional with our social media, intentional with our decisions and what we do, intentional with our days. Love it.
So I am a commitment to life itself. I live intentionally every day with integrity. Now, integrity is one of my key values. It used to be that my top values were trust, honesty, and actually integrity to me includes trust and honesty. I've condensed it as one value now. But part of that integrity is congruence. It's being and acting as the person that matters to me. So things like well, just basically being true to myself and true to my values, and actually living that, not just saying that and wanting to do that, but actually doing it. So that's what integrity is in this context for me. So I live intentionally each day with integrity and love, because I'd realized I was kind of taking that part of life for granted, and I wasn't. Like, I have so much love in my life. I'm very lucky, and love flows in all directions from and through me, and it's beautiful. But it's very easy to take. It's also very easy to take for granted. And actually, the thing is, what we are all connected. We are all one, and I don't necessarily mean this in a pink and fluffy sense, but literally, we are all made of the same building blocks of the universe. We're all made of stars, as Moby would say. You know, we all come from this same single point of origin. We are all connected, and we will all go back to being connected. We are separate beings, but we're only separate beings by our consciousness and by this momentary boundary that we
Oh,
have.
you have been going deep recently.
Anyway, so love is important to me because I want to feel more love. And so I want to share more love, and the two go hand in hand. Anyway, that's the cheesy bit. So I live intentionally each day with integrity and love, supporting the growth of myself and others with passion. And to me, growth is at the very core of who I am and what I do, both in my business and in life.
Do you know, passion's one of my core values, or one of my core beliefs, that if you're going to do something, do it with passion. Whatever that is, if you do everything with passion, everything's better.
So yeah, I thought there you go. There's a completely honest, real.
So I'm gonna read mine out. Mine's slightly different to you. So I'm not very good at the self-discipline of writing down an affirmation and reading it every day. So I have a reminder that comes through to me from myself to tell me every day. So my reminder says this: Sarah, you are awesome. Do today what you need. I expect that is some recruiting, some self-love, and being kind to yourself. You are good at what you do. Remember that. Eat well, exercise, and focus on the best way to spend your time. You've got this. So it's like, it's a little bit different. It's not the commitment to myself, but it's just that message that comes in of that, it's having your own corner, isn't it? For me, that's backing myself. It's that reminder of all the things that I know I need to be doing, I need to be thinking. So, and anyone can do that. Anyone can set a reminder. Anyone can write down an affirmation. We all know, we all do it. When I first moved to Leamington, I sat there with a glass of wine one night in my bedroom, and I wrote a list of like 10 things that like big life goals of what I wanted to do. I wanted to own my own house at some point. I wanted to be a non-smoker. I wanted to be married. I wanted to have children. This is like before kids, before husband, any of that stuff. And it was this great long list. And I realized like 10 years later that pretty much everything, apart from weight, that's the one thing I've struggled with, is to get down to the weight that I'd want to be. But everything else, I'd kind of gone through life and fallen into place. And I wasn't really in control of my life then. It was kind of leading me. But the fact that at some point I'd sat down and kind of made this conscious blueprint that I'd told my subconscious these are the things that I'd kind of wanted, that it kind of muddled its way through and found them anyway. And I think mind programming is so important with things like that kind of having direction. You need a direction, and everyone here has a direction because they're here. They've already made some idea that they want a self-employed book business, a higher income, flexible hours, and that's pretty damn brave already. That's not the norm. Norm says get a 9 to 5 job, get a pension, retire with your bricks and mortar, and stay in your same family unit for the rest of your life. Like, do you know what I mean? You've already been brave and you're already gone. Actually, I want more than that. I want this freedom. I'm sat in the sunshine delivering a training now to all of you wonderful people, doing something I absolutely love. I'm not stuck in a 9 to 5. So take the blueprint where you want to go, and just make it amazing. Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
It's so good.
I'm full of passion today. I'm really like, oh, everyone can do this. And I've got the woo, woo,
so
woo.
for me, this affirmation, although there's a lot of elements to that have been condensed down, literally the hotel wall was covered in post-it notes while I was creating that, but that's a whole other thing.
I'm surprised that they removed in a white coat.
The affirmation itself isn't half as important as the intention behind it. The main thing that I get from reading that every day is absolutely that I am choosing how to show up. That's what matters more than anything else. And by doing that, everything else falls into place easier. It reminds me that actually this shit matters and that I'm going to put it into progress.
Yeah, it really does. Something I mentioned on one of the lives earlier was for years in my life, kind of I was my world. My world was just about me. And if I didn't really believe that I mattered, then nothing else really mattered. Then I suddenly realized that the world is so much more than just me. And every interaction you have can make an impact on someone else's world and on someone else's life.
You owe it to the world to love yourself.
Yes.
Right? This is the reality, right? Because, like I said, we're all connected. Life is everything. The 95% is constantly in interaction with everyone else's 95%. The worse you treat yourself, the harder it is for you to genuinely put good stuff out into the world and accept good stuff in from other people. But the nicer you are to you, the nicer you're being to everyone else in the same moment, in that process, and the easier it's becoming for you to give and accept love in all directions. Yeah.
Excellent.
Cheesy
Right.
again. Easy.
I need to go because my
Yes.
kids are just got home and I need to be on the road.
So one last thing, just finally before we end it, anyone who's watching this right now, live or on the replay, who thinks, yeah, this is all great, but I still don't actually believe I can do it, message me. And depending on how many messages I get, I'll either do a group thing or an individual one-to-one thing, and I will help you to
Well,
get.
you are in this group now, Donkey, and I can't see you wanting to leave it particularly. So, hang around. Feel you have permission to go live at any point you want, to post anything you want, share any blogs or videos that you want. You have a whole wealth of knowledge. You and I have done so many lives and things. You've always come to so many of our trainings that, you have free reign to interact with people, give them little nuggets of knowledge as we go, because you're awesome.
Thanks.
So, right.
Thank you everyone for taking the time to watch this. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.